You make hundreds of decisions every day, yet most people never learned how to think clearly. While you're drowning in information overload and emotional chaos, there was a man in ancient Athens who solved this problem 2,300 years ago. His name was Chrysippus of Soli, and he created a thinking system so powerful that it shaped human reasoning for centuries. Today, you're going to learn his 5 principles that will transform how you process information, make decisions, and navigate the complexity of modern life. Chrysippus wasn't just another philosopher. He was the mastermind who saved Stoicism from extinction. When he took over the Stoic school in Athens around 232 BCE, the philosophy was fragmentary and weak. By the time he was done, he had written over 700 books and created a logical framework so robust that it became the foundation of Western reasoning. They called him the second founder of Stoicism, and without him, we wouldn't have Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, or any of the Stoic wisdom we rely on today. The first principle Chrysippus mastered was the logic of impressions. He understood that every thought entering your mind is just an initial impression, not truth, not reality, just raw data waiting for your analysis. In ancient Athens, when rumors spread through the agora about political upheaval or military threats, Chrysippus taught his students to pause and examine each impression before accepting it as fact. Today, when you're bombarded with conflicting information, emotional triggers, and social media chaos, this principle becomes your shield. Before you react to that news headline, that criticism from a colleague, or that financial worry, ask yourself, is this impression accurate, or am I accepting unexamined data? The wise person, Chrysippus taught, never mistakes the initial impression for the final truth. The second principle is conditional reasoning, the if-then logic that governs cause and effect. Chrysippus revolutionized how we understand consequences by creating clear logical chains. If you consistently wake up early, then you will have more productive days. If you practice gratitude daily, then your mental state will improve. If you prepare thoroughly for challenges, then you will handle them with greater composure. This isn't wishful thinking, it's logical architecture.
Chrysippus showed that most human suffering comes from broken reasoning chains. People expect results without understanding the conditions that create them. When you master conditional logic, you stop being surprised by predictable outcomes and start engineering the results you want. The third principle revolves around the logic of assent, your power to accept or reject any thought or feeling. Chrysippus discovered that between every external event and your response lies a moment of choice. You cannot control what happens to you, but you have absolute sovereignty over whether you give your assent to destructive thoughts. When Marcus Aurelius later wrote about not being harmed by external events, he was applying Chrysippus's logic of assent. In our current era, as humanity works to build greater resilience and overcome collective challenges, this principle becomes essential. That anxiety about the future, that anger at circumstances beyond your control, that despair about complex global situations, none of these thoughts have power over you until you give them your assent. Chrysippus taught that wisdom begins when you realize you're the gatekeeper of your own mind. The fourth principle is systematic coherence, ensuring all your beliefs and actions align with logical consistency. Chrysippus observed that most people live with contradictory beliefs that create internal chaos. They value health but neglect their bodies, relationships but invest no time in developing them. They seek wisdom but avoid difficult learning. Chrysippus created exercises to identify these contradictions and eliminate them through systematic reasoning. He understood that a philosophy is only as strong as its weakest logical link. Today, this means auditing your beliefs and behaviors for inconsistencies. If you claim to value something, your actions must reflect that value, or you're living in logical contradiction, and contradictions always create suffering. The fifth and most powerful principle is the logic of fate and freedom. This might sound paradoxical, but Chrysippus solved one of philosophy's greatest puzzles. How can we be free if everything is determined? His answer was brilliant. We are free in our response to what is determined. A cylinder rolls down a hill because of gravity, but its particular manner of rolling depends on its internal shape. Similarly, external events may be beyond your control, but your internal response, your character, your reasoning, your choices, these shape how you roll through life.
Chrysippus taught that true freedom isn't the ability to control external circumstances, but the power to maintain your logical integrity regardless of what happens around you. These 5 principles create what Chrysippus called the citadel of the mind, an impregnable fortress of clear thinking that external chaos cannot breach. When you examine impressions before accepting them, when you understand conditional relationships, when you control your assent, when you eliminate contradictions, and when you embrace your freedom within fate's boundaries, you become logically unstoppable. Chrysippus proved that genius isn't about having brilliant insights. It's about thinking clearly, consistently, and systematically. In a world that rewards quick reactions and emotional responses, framework gives you the patience to think deeply and the wisdom to act correctly. You don't need to write 700 books like Chrysippus did. You just need to apply these 5 principles to transform your mental operating system from chaos to clarity, from confusion to wisdom, from reactive thinking to logical mastery. If this moved you, comment "The Citadel holds" below. It is our sign that you carry the philosophy with you. Subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.